like to call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Councilman Simaluka. Councilwoman Darminio.
Here.
Councilman Garrett.
Here.
Councilman Accomando.
Here.
Council President Mazer.
Here. I ask you to please rise for the salute to the flag, and please remain standing for a moment of silence for ex-fire chief and senior citizen club president Lucien Lou LaParry. I pledge
allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all council members and to all legal newspapers in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
The public is hereby advised that any statements made during the meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Southbrook may not be privileged or protected, and that persons or entities who take issue with such comments or are offended by same may and have in the past sought legal redress through the courts. Any member of the public who addresses the council speaks for themselves and not for the council.
Before I ask for a motion to open to the public, I'm going to ask that our planning board attorney, Mr. Steve Polino, do a brief synopsis of our redevelopment plan, the ordinance regarding the ordinance tonight for the redevelopment plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike on?
Red is on.
Red is on?
Yep.
Red is on, okay. The council tonight is poised, I guess you could say, to almost be at the final step of the redevelopment process. Redevelopment is a statutory process in New Jersey, and it was begun here, I think, back in March, when the council referred the matter to the planning board and asked the planning board to conduct a study on a specific piece of property. That's 55 Mayhill Street. Most people may know it as the old Home Depot site. And I can say parenthetically, it's a site that's been vacant for quite a number of years, and I think that's one of the reasons the council wanted the planning board to conduct a study. So pursuant to statute, the planning board, in fact, conducted a study. It was done by the township planner. Planning board conducted a hearing on that study as required by statute. And at the conclusion of that hearing, the planning board decided by resolution to recommend to this council that 55 Mayhill Street, the old Home Depot site, be declared an area in need of redevelopment. That then went back to the council, which did in fact pass a resolution determining that that property is an area in need of redevelopment. And according to the statutory process, that resolution gets forwarded to the Department of Community Affairs for their input. And they have 30 days to respond, and prior to those 30 days, the township clerk received notice from Sheila Oliver, who's the lieutenant governor, but also the commissioner of DCA, that the DCA approved of the redevelopment process and in fact determined this property is in an area that the DCA has identified as an area that they would like to see developed. So the next step in the process was to actually come up with a redevelopment plan. And that again was referred, as it should be, to the township planner. The planner came up with a form of report, discussed informally with me, but it really is a planner's decision. The council back a few weeks ago introduced an ordinance which would in fact adopt the redevelopment plan. Again, as required by statute, that had to be referred to the planning board, and it was. The planning board conducted a hearing, and as required by statute, the planning board adopted a resolution telling this council that it found the redevelopment plan to be consistent with the master plan. Some of you may know a master plan is required of every municipality, and it's a general overview of how the in this case the township, but any municipality wants and sees the development in their town to go. So redevelopment plans are usually and should be consistent with the master plan, and the planning board so determined to recommend to the governing body that this plan was consistent. And it is now here before the council for final adoption. There'll be a public hearing, as there will be with any ordinance, and if adopted, we will then have a redevelopment plan for this property. Now, the redevelopment plan itself, in this case, is very broad. This site at 55 Mayhill Street actually consists of 2 lots. There's actually a larger, maybe 90%, one particular lot which is presently zoned industrial, and then there's a small sliver close to Mayhill Street, almost triangular shaped, that is zoned B2. And the recommendation for this plan is that the entire site adopt the uses that are permitted in the B2 zone. And among those uses of public buildings, I don't think there's any secret that the council is looking towards this property as a site for the former town hall, for a future town hall. And the ordinance also establishes some bulk requirements that are a little bit different than presently exist, but that would accommodate this building. So that's the actual plan itself, and if adopted, that will constitute the zoning for this site, and it would allow I'll say, the plan for a town hall to move forward on that site. Now, the redevelopment plan consists of more than just the ordinance, or more than just the zoning portion, and the planner went through the various criteria. And one of the purposes of the redevelopment is to see that we revitalize areas that are not vital, and that specifically applies to this site. And you know, if it moves forward, would allow the township to actually repurpose an existing building, an existing facility, and make it vital for the township's purposes. Assuming the ordinance is adopted tonight, it would be published as any ordinance normally would. I would also suggest, although I don't know if it's required, that we forward it to the county planning board as a zoning ordinance, because I think it is. And once that happens, the township can then consider the actual implementation of a redevelopment plan. And if we're going to cite a town hall there, how that gets accomplished by way of contractual agreements with different entities. So this is, although short of construction, we're at the final step of the redevelopment process. And quite frankly, nothing really can go forward from, in terms of construction, until in fact the redevelopment plan is adopted. So I think that's hope wasn't too long a
No, it's fine,
synopsis
that's great. Thank you.
of where we are.
Thank you very much, Mr. Polino. Any questions for Mr. Polino before I open? Right, nothing right now? Okay. At this time, I'd like for a motion to open the meeting to the public. Second. But just wait, hold on a minute. Just, Larry, relax. So do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just understand that when we do have the reading for the ordinance, you will have time to ask questions on the ordinance. Right now, it's open to the public for any agenda items. Be my guest however you want to use your 3 minutes. It's open to the public right now.
Yeah, regular.
Larry Tychek, 92 Claremont. I just think it's fair to the residents and the taxpayers what Ms. Mazur did last month by handing her scholarship out. She didn't waste 17 minutes. She gave them to the kids, which was fine, but I think us as taxpayers should be entitled to the same amount of time as she did, and took our time up listening to her private
Well, that's,
Scholarship?
I can tell you this right
Private
now, it's not
scholarship?
going to happen, okay?
private scholarship. I just
All
want the
right.
public to know.
My
And
scholarships were my prerogative.
I'm
It
talking
did
now.
not
I'm
take away
talking.
from you.
I'm
I'll
talking.
give you 30 seconds for
I'm
it.
talking.
Trust me.
I'm
just letting you
talking.
know it's not going to happen.
Well, I'm talking.
Okay.
Just like everything else, you have no idea what goes on up there anyway, so you
And
might
if
as
you
well
can,
add this
you
to
know
it.
what? And if you're going to be, throw insults at me, you're going to
Not
be
throwing
asked to
insults
leave.
at you. I'm
Yes, you
telling the
are.
truth. I'm
Yes,
telling
you
the
are. No,
truth.
you're not. That's
So
your
I would
truth,
like
which
that.
means nothing.
Like I said, Mr. Accomando cost us 100,
All right, keep going. Really? You
Dave,
need to do this.
100, you 500.
Yeah, your numbers are wrong again.
100, and Simaluka 500.
Okay,
By wasting our money, taking the
Thank
benefits
you.
and everything else,
Thank
when we're
you very
looking for
much.
money. Like I say, you swapped engineers again, which I asked you not to do. I have the same guy here on Tuesday, so this guy knows
well, when you're
what's
sitting up
going
here,
on.
you can decide what to do. No, you're not gonna tell me to shush. I'm in control of the meeting.
talking.
Excuse me?
You're very rude. I'm talking. For a professional and a politician, you're very
Okay.
rude. Okay? So we can't ask him the same questions. As far as the senior housing is concerned, we don't hear anything about that. 6 years I came up here and said, it's not gonna happen, it's not for Saddlebrook. We wasted how many dollars? Wasted loss of revenue for taxes. I believe we got 6 Saddlebrook residents in here, just like I said. And everybody said, oh, 25, 28, I'm gonna have breakfast, Angela Robinson, I'm gonna have breakfast with my grandmother and everybody else. Never happens, and it never is gonna happen. So therefore, that's another bad move that we made, okay? And got ourselves tied up into for 8 years, and the loss of revenue there at Home Depot. Home Depot redevelopment, it's like I said on Tuesday, it's not our problem that is in an industrial area. They rented that building, they did fine without a tenant, and they collected rent all them years. That's the best tenant to have is air. They don't complain, they don't ask for light bulbs, they don't ask for anything. It's all positive money coming in from Home Depot. We approached them. They didn't approach us, we approached them.
Sorry.
So we're the ones that initiated the action. The reports that we have are all phony. Mr. Simaluka, do you still believe that we're not rushing with special meetings, planning board meetings, and council meetings? You also said we have the staff in place. I went over the buildings. We have one janitor in town. Cleans the police station, the library, and various other buildings. That building there is going to require 3 to 4 people to clean.
Larry, please wrap it up.
And
Your time is
maintain.
up.
Okay? So know what you're talking about before you send out false information. Okay? That's going to be a big expense to operate, whether you know it or you don't know it.
Thank you, Larry.
But like I said, and like I said, it's not
Thank you. Your
fair
time
that
is
we
up.
only get to 3 minutes up here.
You're up, 3 minutes are up.
Do we have the picture of this bicentennial park?
It's on the bulletin board.
It's on the
with
bulletin board
over
outside?
25.
Okay. Okay.
Anyone else wishing to be heard?
Through the chair,
Yes.
could I just make a comment in regards to the Saddlebrook residents for the housing? Larry, majority of the housing was for, if I'm not mistaken, for residents of Saddlebrook. Upon a walkthrough and a visual inspection of the actual living area, a lot of people from Saddlebrook removed themselves from that list because they couldn't live in a 400 square foot dwelling. Oh, well, I'm just answering your question. Well, at least they're getting occupied, at least they're not empty.
We didn't have enough people to qualify. I told you what was going to happen.
We had people that are qualified, they don't wanna live in 400 square foot apartments.
Well, that's what we're giving out. Take it or leave it.
If-
Put it on the bill.
I'm trying to give you an answer, that's all.
Yes, Sylvia.
Sylvia Zottarelli, 236 Lanza Ave. I have 2 issues. One, I think it was just about the same time last year, that box truck is back at Walmart. Cops have been called, I think, almost every night since last Thursday. It's still there and it's loud as all heck.
Okay,
And I know you guys helped last year, so I'm just letting you know it's back.
okay.
Secondly, summer's here. I know I had came here last year when they put the yellow line outside my house. Can we do something with putting a sign up there? Because I have no parking in front of that house. And there's no school now, so it's just wasted space. And I don't have any parking at all. So if that can be looked into.
We'll look into it.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thomas Van Winkle, 128 Lincoln Avenue. I got my Mayor's Youth Group shirt on tonight, of course. Just a quick Mayor's Youth Group update. We had our bowling outing at the Parkway Lanes in Elmwood Park. We had a wonderful time. Pictures were posted on the Mayor's Youth Group Facebook page and shared to the town page. So we had an amazing time with that. Coming up, we're going to be getting involved with a couple different events this summer. National Night Out on Tuesday, August 6th at, I think it's 7 o'clock, right? 6 o'clock. I forget now what time it is. But we'll be involved with National Night Out at Washington School, helping out with that. And also the Saddlebrook Township picnic on August the 24th at the county park. So we'll be doing some stuff throughout the summer. As always, just stay tuned to our social media and for more information. Thank you.
Once again, thank you, Thomas, for all that you and the group does. Really appreciate it. Anyone else wishing to be heard? No? Motion to close?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Through the chair, if I
Yes.
may.
Yes.
I'd like to just mention about the senior housing. In fact, there is no number that has been picked yet. We do not know how many applicants are going to pass. The letters were just sent. I have the email here from the county. The letters were sent to all the applicants, and now they're going to go through the vetting process. So there is no number of how many residents from Saddlebrook are going to be in there. 125 applications were taken on the computer the day the website was open. What I do know is that 41 applicants from Saddlebrook are in the low end. Now, do I know it's 1 to 40? No. But there are 41 applicants. They tell me that a lot of people, when they go through this process, do not qualify. So we are not at a number at all. So it is a process that is continuing, and until we know that answer, I don't want anybody to say there's 6 or 10, or we don't know, but we will let you know. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mayor?
Thank you, Council President. I have a few things. Tax bills, they will be going out at the end of this month. There's going to be a grace period. It will be extended, and there'll be information along with the tax bill, a letter that'll explain everything. President Street was repaved beginning of the month by Public Service. Water and gas mains were replaced over the last year, year and a half, and we finally got the road paved, and it was a good job. The redevelopment plan, Mr. Polino really said it all. The only thing that, I want to say is that it was a process. There was a lot of meetings. Thank you. You did a great job. Our planner also did a good job. Mazer Consulting. If the ordinance passes tonight on second reading, the town will likely, I say likely, we have to vote on it, proceed with the purchase of the property, which needs to be renovated for a municipal complex, ambulance corps building, fire company, hook and ladder company building, and a rec center. Senior housing update. Ms. Starminio pretty much said everything. The only thing is, the building construction is nearly done. I mean, it's just about finished. And they should start renting them the end, I would say August, September. They should start renting them, probably in August, and it's gonna take a couple of months probably to get them all rented. As she said, on June the 11th, which was a Tuesday at 9 a.m., the Housing Authority of Bergen County, they accepted pre-applications from income-eligible senior citizens and some special needs households for those 30 units. The first 125 that completed eligible pre-applications received an electronic notice that they were accepted. Pre-applications that were received after the 125 were declined. For those who needed assistance, there was access, to completing the applications. They were done at the Housing Authority. The Housing Authority had help for individuals that didn't have a computer, or didn't have anybody helping them.
Sorry, that was me.
It's okay.
Wrong button.
Trying to tell me
I
something.
wasn't cutting you off.
Some people think I need to be cut off. So anyway, the Housing Authority had the staff available at our senior center at their Hackensack location.
So, in order to have been eligible to apply, at least one applicant had to be 55 years or older, and their income could not have exceeded a specified amount. They had to be Bergen County residents, or applicants had to be, the preference was for Bergen County residents. You had to either live, work, or in Bergen County. One thing that I want to say too is that, Larry had mentioned about that we haven't gotten any income, but we will get income. We are going to get a portion of the rents in lieu of taxes. So we will be getting money in. And as Councilwoman Darminio said, there are quite a bit of town residents that are within that 125, and they are located. So I mentioned the other night a third, so I'm thinking that if everything goes right, if they take them, if everybody takes them, like Todd said, not everybody's gonna take them. They're gonna go, they're gonna look, they're not gonna just sight unseen take them. So, and they, you know what, and it depends on how much rent they have to pay. I mean, I've already heard some people say, if I gotta pay X amount, I can't take it. So, I think we're gonna get a decent amount of Saddlebrook residents in there. Also, we received bids for Les Wing Avenue paving, and we will be awarding a contract tonight, if the council votes to do so. I want to congratulate the ARP and the Saddlebrook Senior Citizen Club executive officers who were sworn in June. We had a moment of silence. We lost Lou LaParry this week on Monday. Lou was a volunteer fireman for over 56 years. As a matter of fact, I think he was the oldest living member of the fire department. He was a chief, ex-chief back in 72 and 73. He was also the president of our Saddlebrook Senior Citizens Club. He was employed as a head custodian for the school district for many years. Tremendous loss to his family, to his friends, to the fire department, and to the whole community. And I want to offer my condolences to anybody who's saddened by his loss. We also have a first reading on tonight, an ordinance banning single-use plastic bags. Single-use type, we talk about the single-use type of bags that customers get when they check out, when they go to convenience stores or supermarkets. I want to encourage businesses to use recyclable or biodegradable products rather than those plastic bags. Our customer, or have customers use their own bags, come in with reusable type bags and put their products in there. Garbage bags or bags without handles will be exempt. This ordinance is aimed at merchants, not customers. And the merchants would have up till the beginning of next year to comply. The state is looking to pass a bill and pass a law, and some of our surrounding towns, Paramus and Garfield, have already passed ordinances. We also have a first reading for an ordinance, which to me is a no-brainer, amending Chapter 100 to include a regulation that I can't believe it hasn't been already on the books, but it's the regulation is that residents can't put out their garbage until 6 p.m. the night before garbage pickup, and they have to pick the can up within 24 hours after it is picked up by GATA. Some events and activities in June. We had a very busy month. Some of the special things that happened. We had a bench dedication in memory of Brook Costanzo on Saturday, June the 8th. The bench was placed at Veterans Field. Brook passed away in December of 2017 at the age of 16. She was a student at Saddlebrook High School, very active in rec sports and high school sports. The bench was donated by Council President Flo Mazer and Deborah Dempsey Siliento and family. It was placed at the entrance of the field near the concession stand. A nice group of family, friends were present for the dedication, along with council members. Director Andy Gallo was there. I want to thank Flo and the Siliento family for the generous donation. I also want to thank Andy Gallo for ordering the bench and organizing and overseeing the installation along with the DPW. The bench will be a lasting tribute to honor and commemorate Brook's life. We also had an ambulance dedication ceremony on June the 9th. The ambulance corps dedicated their new ambulance to, in memory of Eugene Gene Egan, who passed away last year on July the 28th. Gene was a devoted member, active member of the Corps for 57 years and was their Corps chaplain. Captain Harry Reed and President Bill Murgo did a great job presenting the program and organizing the ceremony. I want to also thank Father Bruce Janiga, the pastor at St. Philip's. He came and did a prayer and also blessed the new ambulance. I can't say enough, and I know the council agrees 100% with me, all that the ambulance corps does and the fire department does for our community. We're very fortunate to have such dedicated, committed volunteers providing emergency services for our residents. The Kiwanis Fishing Derby was Saturday, June the 15th, from 9 to 12 at the Otto Paley Lake in the Saddle River County Park. The weather was great. The kids had a fantastic time fishing. Of course, thank you to the members of the Kiwanis Club for running the Derby, my secretary Christine, Rec Director Andy Gallo, Sergeant Johnny Trito, members of the Ambulance Corps, DPW, the Acme Supermarket, Dunkin' Donuts, and Terra Mini Mall for donating. Joanne Burdell for taking her photos, and a really big shout out for Matty Bennis for arranging to have the lake stocked. Not only did he get the state to come, which they did it for nothing, he also, at his own expense, hired a company to come and to stock the lake. So, and he won't take anything for it. He really enjoys fishing and outdoor life, and he loves seeing the kids have a good time. All the participants got a trophy, and I told the winners that I would announce them here. So, first place was Stella Slowick with a 26-inch carp. Stephen Deptino was second with a 17.5-inch largemouth bass. And third was the tag team, Evan and Ryan Benkovich with a 15-inch catfish. We had a flood committee meeting on Wednesday, June 19th. Councilman Garrett's going to talk about that. Our fireworks were Wednesday, July the 3rd. Great weather and a great show. We got so many compliments this year that it was nice to hear. Last year was a little dicey. They went off late, the weather, but this year was perfect. And I want to thank all our emergency services personnel, our DPW. The event ran very smoothly and safely. Special thanks to Fire Inspector Mike Seitz for being the operations manager. He was the one that handled the whole thing. Upcoming events, Avon Park Playground unveiling on Saturday, July the 20th at 10 a.m. This is Michael Maniscalco's Eagle Scout project to replace and to renovate the Avon Park Playground to make it more handicap accessible. This construction started on Saturday, May the 4th, and he's been working very diligently every weekend since. The project also includes a new sign at Strathmore Terrace entrance and handicap parking spaces on Avon Lane and Strathmore Terrace. Michael's done an awesome job planning, organizing, and managing this whole project. And we're talking about a 17-year-old kid. There isn't enough good things to say about this young man and the job that he did. National Night Out is, as Thomas mentioned, Tuesday, August 6th. Saddlebrook Police Department will once again hold the event on the grounds of Washington School from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. National Night Out is sponsored by the National Association of Town Watch, and it's held annually on the first Tuesday in August and is meant to increase awareness about police and public safety programs in communities. Town Picnic and Mayor's Walk is going to be Saturday, August 24th. The picnic is 12 noon to 5 p.m. 4 p.m. The rain date, if necessary, will be Sunday, August 25th. We will again have food trucks, live bands, entertainment, games, and activities for children. It's open to Saddlebrook residents only, and admission is free. Parking is limited. we no longer can use that, that grass portion, it's fenced off. So what we're doing, the last few years, the seniors been bused from the Senior Citizen Center. That will be the same, that will continue this year, but we're also gonna offer busing, using a school bus. Thank you for the Board of Education for allowing us to use a school bus, which will take residents from the high school parking lot to the park. Prior to the picnic, I will once again do my annual mayor's walk around Otto Paley Lake, beginning at 9 a.m. That's all I have. It was a lot. I'm sorry to run on, but enjoy your summer, everyone.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Acamando?
I'm
Comments?
good.
Nothing right now? Okay.
I'd like to report out on the Flood Committee. The committee met on Wednesday, June 19th. In attendance were Mayor White, Bob Hickswa, Tom Dickman, Pete Ledico, Emil Sudol, Chief Bob Kugler, Bob Davidson, the business administrator at Rochelle Park, and myself. The meeting was very productive. Items of discussion were to formulate a mission statement. The committee agreed should be centered around flood awareness and flood preparedness. We also discussed the creation of some subcommittees to improve the CRS, which stands for Community Rating System, which is through FEMA. It's the rating system each municipality has in regards to their preparedness for flooding. This rating is determines how much our residents pay for flood insurance. The township currently has 600 homes in the flood zone, according to the most recent flood map. Some of these residents can pay as much as $4,000 per year for flood insurance. If the township can improve our rating system or rating score, the residents may have their premiums reduced. Bob Davidson from Rochelle Park was extremely knowledgeable and helpful. Rochelle Park has been working to improve their rating for some time. They've been able to save their residents a tremendous amount of money by getting their rating score higher. He explained that they hired a floodplain manager to help improve the township's rating. He also explained that it's a tremendous amount of work and documentation to improve the township's rating. It's going to take a while to do. It's not going to be something that happens in 3 or 4 or 5 months. It takes a while. Other areas of discussion were to provide educational materials for our residents, especially those that are located in flood zones, and also to continue to clean out catch basins. We also discussed relining sewers to help the water flow, just some things that were touched upon. The committee will meet again in September to approve a mission statement and discuss ways to move forward to improve our CRS score. I would also like to give my condolences to the LaPerry family, and I'd like to recognize our first responders and DPW workers for the great job they did on the 4th of July celebration. Thank you.
Thank you,
Council
Councilman.
President.
Councilwoman?
I'm good, yeah.
You're good? Councilman?
The worst kind of information that we can get is misinformation. We got another example of that tonight, and Councilwoman Darminio was correct. My understanding is that 125 people made the cut time-wise, and there absolutely is no number. I have no idea where that number came from. Just like another number in terms of dollars was bandied about tonight. I have no idea where that number's coming from. So when you hear things from the table over there, just be careful about just accepting it as fact, because many times it's not. Sometimes it is, but many times it's not. There's a comment about Saddlebrook. Oh, would I love to have, how many units there are, 32 units?
30.
How many?
30.
30 units, have them all be Saddlebrook residents? Certainly. But what, I mean, let's face it, if 12 are Saddlebrook residents and 6 are from Elmwood Park and 6 are from Garfield and a few more are from Lodi and a couple from Fairlawn, I mean, is that going to kill the town? Are they bad people because they don't live within the 2-point-something miles of Saddlebrook? That's ridiculous. You know, Saddlebrook is a great town. I love it. People say I love it too much. But, you know, it's not Shangri-La that everybody has to stay here
and nobody can come in. We want them to be Saddlebrook residents, because once they move in, they are Saddlebrook people, and they'll be part of the community, as we've seen in many events, unfortunate events, tragic events, that our community pulls together and is a true community. So if we could add more people to it, God bless them and God bless us. We can show them what kind of town they are and we are, and bring them in and make them good Saddlebrook residents. There's been comments going on months and months and months about how expensive it's going to be to run this place. Well, as I see it now, we currently maintain offices here. We currently maintain the ambulance corps. We currently maintain the fire department. The only thing that we are adding in terms of new idea is the recreation center. Could there be the need for an additional person? There might be, but some people disagree and think that we're going to have to hire this rolling staff. But we are currently taking care of all the places. The ambulance, basically, it's a four-pronged building. It is ambulance, fire, municipal complex, and recreation center. The only thing new, like I said, is the rec center. So could there be somebody else that needs to be hired? Sure, but it's not something that, we're not starting with nothing and now making it four different things that we need to get all these people in to take care of it. In terms of the time, and again, over and over, about how long it's taken, if we took a long time, we would be criticized for taking a long time. This was introduced by Mayor White, was the first public announcement of this idea was in September, so that was 10 months ago. We are going to be voting on this redevelopment plan tonight, 10 months later. And we don't even have a contract to buy the place. So when you say we're rushing into it, I just don't agree. Because before it was announced by the mayor, somebody just didn't tap him on the shoulder on a Monday and he brought it out on a Tuesday. The concept was in the air for 6-8 months before that. There was nothing solid, but there was the potential idea out there. But it germinated to the point where it became a potential reality. And so again, 10 months to do this. We also heard the same thing. It's taken 8 years for the senior center. I remember in the beginning, when the senior center was first proposed, we were moving too fast. And same people came up and said, we're rushing this. Well, 8 years later, we're finally gonna have it, and hopefully there'll be a ribbon cutting soon, and we can be proud of that building, which I believe is a very nice looking building. What did I say here? All right, I think that's it for now. Thank you.
That's it right now? Sure. Okay. All righty. Okay, on to our ordinances. It is a little bit.
Through the council, I apologize. I missed something. Just because when we vote on things, I'll just explain what I believe my vote will be right now. I apologize, I did miss the work session on Tuesday. I had a family obligation, and I would have discussed it then, but I do not believe, at least on the first reading, that I will be supporting the plastic bag ban. My initial reaction, and maybe it's knee-jerk, is that it may be an undue burden on small merchants. That maybe it should be limited to somebody like an Acme or a store like that, but the mom and pop places, it may be an undue burden. Maybe it's not, but that's my initial reaction. The two garbage pail ordinances, garbage and recycling, I think that they're too lax, because if you think about it, if you can put the garbage out or recycling out at 6 o'clock, By me, I don't know if it's everybody, but, you know, you put out your plastics on a Thursday night for a Friday pickup. You put it out at 6 o'clock. They pick it up at whenever, sometimes it's at 6:30, unfortunately, in the morning, but sometimes it's at 4 o'clock. You can have that pail out there for another 24 hours. I think, so it's out there for, you know, days on end. I would have preferred, and I would have asked the council to amend that to 12 hours. I think that's more in keeping with what we are trying to do and not have garbage out without being picked up, and also not having the refuse containers, which often are not the cleanest things and the most aesthetically pleasing things, out there for an additional 24 hours after it gets picked up. So I would be seeking an amendment to 12 hours, and that's why initially I will be voting no on those ordinances. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, the ordinance?
Ordinance 1658-19 is an ordinance of the Township of Saddlebrook, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, adopting a redevelopment plan for property commonly known as 55 Mayhill Street, and also known as lots 502 and 5.02 and 5.03, and block 801 of the tax map of the Township of Saddlebrook, for a second reading.
A motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Samuka.
Yes.
Councilwoman Dorminio.
Yes.
Councilman Garrick.
Yes.
Councilman Accomando.
Yes.
Council President Mason.
Yes.
An ordinance of the Township of Saddlebrook, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, adopting a redevelopment plan for property commonly known as 55 Mayhill Street, and also known as lots 5.02 to 5.03, and block 801 of the tax map of the Township of Saddlebrook.
Motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second. Roll call.
Councilman Samuka.
Yes.
Councilwoman Dorminio.
Yes.
Councilman Garrick.
Yes.
Councilman Accomando.
Yes.
Council President Mason.
Yes. Motion. Sorry. Okay. The meeting is now open to the public regarding this ordinance. Anyone wishing to speak on it?
Larry Tychek, 92 Claremont. Did you just vote on it now, or was that to vote to
Yes,
open?
it's the second reading.
You voted on the second reading. So what difference do
No.
our comments make?
This is a
This is
vote,
no.
the vote was to give it a second reading,
Wait a minute.
and then this vote was to open the meeting to the public.
And then,
Oh, so
then we do it
So you
again.
did not vote on it
Yes.
yet?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. This is what I need explained to me. When an area is due or suggested for redevelopment, I told you before, the property value of that property in 2015 was $7 million on our tax records. Look them up. I don't know if any of you have time to do that or whatever. Now, in 2019, we're going to tell the general public that this area needs to be redeveloped. It's vacant, the building's old, and all of a sudden, the property is worth $10 million. My, oh my. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Doesn't everybody wish they had property like that? That you let it go, you say it's got to be trashed or it's got to be redeveloped, and all of a sudden it increased 38%. And we got some suckers that want to buy it for the 10 million. We should be buying that for 4 million if it needs all of this work and needs to be redeveloped and needs all the money put in. And the second thing I don't like is it was never given to the public to vote. The public should vote on this. You people have made enough mistakes over the years, and to handle our money like this, $41 million. We got a police station over here one day is gonna float away. We got pumps running 24 hours in a basement. We built it on a swamp. We built it with no parking. We built a ball field on a swamp and moved the flooding to another guy's business. We don't do anything right. And for $41 million and for 30 years that we're gonna pay, okay? That's our money. That's not your money, that's our money. And we should have put it out to a referendum. If you people are so sure that it's gonna pass and everything, let the people decide. This is America. Let the people decide, not 5 Gestapos. Okay, it's not your job to spend our money. You could spend under $2,500, buy tires for trucks, buy garbage trucks and everything else. But when you get into the $41 million range, we've never been there. We've never been there, $41 million. We built concession stands for $1 million, but we've never been to 41 million. And it should be our right as taxpayers in this town. If any of yous had any say of you know what, you'd make a motion to put it on the ballot in November. And let the people decide. If it wins, it wins. Fine, you go ahead, go your merry way. But I don't think it's gonna float. Not with a referendum coming up with a school, not with put this on a referendum. You're afraid of it. That's what you're afraid of. You're afraid to put it out and to hear the truth. And I mean, you talk about spending money. We just put a generator in this building last year. That was another thing that took forever.
Larry, we're talking about this
Yeah, but I'm
ordinance.
talking, this is about town hall.
This is about this ordinance.
Yeah, but this is about town hall. Going over there. And we just spent
Okay.
$25,000 on air
But
conditioning.
thank you, your time's up.
If you knew that you were doing it, why would you spend that kind of money?
Anyone
Because
else
it's
wishing to
not
be heard
your
on this
money.
ordinance?
Good evening, everyone. Eamon Sullivan, Lynn Terrace, Saddlebrook. I just had a question. Is there, as far as bonding goes for that complex there, is there a kind of set amount of money that you people are allowed to spend without any kind of approval from the public? Or, I think Larry's kind of touched on this. And another, I just wanted to correct him. He keeps saying that it's 41 million. I thought it was 48.5 million. I think what Larry's leaving off is the $7.5 million lost revenue on that complex over the same time period of 25, 30 years. So it's 48.5 million. Plus, the place is still not staffed. The place is still not furnished with new furniture. We're kicking close to $50 million now. So, and really, I don't think that you 5 people here should have that right to make that kind of decision. That should be up to the taxpayers. We're the ones footing the bill, not you people. Maybe you are, yes, you are along with us, but it's going out to all of the taxpayers here in town. And I was kind of shocked by what Mr. Semaluka brought up and said that this was a reasonable deal. How the hell can you call this reasonable? Almost $50 million. That's a hell of a lot of money. I just wish, because it seems like you have a one-track mind here, that location is it, and you won't look into this property that we're sitting on. You won't have an engineer or an architect come up with some sort of drawing or some sort, I mean, we own this property going all the way down to the police station. And I brought this up at several meetings. What if you knocked all this stuff down and built a new firehouse, a new ambulance building? I'm sure as hell it wouldn't cost $50 million. And I'm sure we would not be losing any tax revenue. And I just feel that this whole issue here is wrong. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Anyone else? Motion to close? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Before we actually go for the vote, I'd like to just read a correspondence that we received from the Lieutenant Governor's office regarding this resolution. It says, "The Department of Community Affairs, DCA, is in receipt of the above reference resolution. The determination area is situated where development and redevelopment are encouraged pursuant to state law of regulation. This determination is a tribute to the work the Township of Saddlebrook has done, and, excuse me, please feel free to contact," and it goes on to say whatever, if you need any further assistance. So we do have the blessings of the Governor's office.
Chair, can I say
Yes.
something? And Mr. Polino is very qualified, obviously, to talk about this, but what you're voting on is the adoption of the redevelopment plan.
Yes.
You're not voting on spending
True.
any money on, we're still negotiating our contract.
Exactly,
So
totally.
I just want that to be clear. So this is just the adoption of a redevelopment plan. It's a process to protect the township.
Exactly.
The township is going to go forward in the future. So I make that clear.
Thank you, Anthony.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I'd like to make a comment about what was just said from Mr. Ratajczak about the police department. Every month, you bring up what a bad thing it was. I have a copy of the resolution from 2004 from the planning board passing the police department, of which you second the motion and voted for it. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention, because I guess you changed your minds, right?
had no idea it would be like
Okay, okay. Well, I'm speaking, I'm just saying, you voted for it, so now you're changing history, and you don't like it. No, I didn't ask you a question, because it's my turn to
Larry,
speak.
it's her turn to speak.
So I just want that going on record, that Mr. Ratajczak did vote for the police department when every month he comes up here and says it was a terrible thing to do. I don't get it, but
Mr.
just so
Ratajczak,
you know
she's
it.
talking.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Before we vote through the chair,
Yes.
just, also, again, you can call it misinformation, or you can call it just twisting the facts around. This is what's been done with the price of this, which we haven't even come to, but all of a sudden now it's 50 million. If you buy a house for $400,000, and you get a mortgage of $350,000, you put down a nice chunk, you put down 50 grand. Now you're mortgaging the house for $350,000. And someone asks you, how much did you pay for that house? Well, I think you're gonna say $400,000. You don't say, well, listen, I'm borrowing $350,000, and over 30 years, that actually comes to $1.2 million if I pay all of my mortgage payments. So it's a 1.6 million. Yeah, I bought my house on Cambridge Ave or Claremont. It's a $1.6 million house. No, it's a $400,000 house. You're paying debt service. So this number that gets inflated as that's the price, it's not the price. Absolutely not the price. And in terms of people voting, you know who doesn't have a vote in this if it went to a referendum? The people who haven't moved into town yet, that will be moving into town. It's the kids who don't have a vote that will be utilizing this. When I'm dead and gone, and if my grandkids are living here, they're the ones who are going to be using it. People who haven't even been born yet will be utilizing that and enjoying that for years to come. So just to say, we need to vote on this, it's leaving out many, many people. And to answer Emil, there is no amount. There is no set amount that needs to go to a referendum in the municipal government. That's, Board of Ed is a different entity, that they have a different set of rules, but no, there is not. And again, I do think it's a good project, and I believe, don't quote me again, I don't want to give misinformation, but I believe the jump from $7 to $10 million in terms of the appraisal, I think that was when the property was sold to the current owner. And that is when there was a jump there. So if they bought it for $10 million and we're getting this and putting this all together for in the area of, let's just throw out a number, 25, I think I think many people who would look at the plans of what we're getting would say, yes, it is a good deal and it is going to be a benefit to Saddlebrook. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Close the meeting.
Motion to close?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay.
Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that the ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the Township of Saddlebrook, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, adopting a redevelopment plan for property commonly known as 55 Mayhill Street, and also known as lots 5.02 and 5.03 in the block 801 of the tax map of the Township of Saddlebrook, does now pass on second and final reading, and that the Township Clerk be directed to advertise said ordinance or title thereof in the press, together with the notice of the date of passage of said ordinance according to the code.
Motion? Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Simaloukas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Dorminio.
Yes.
Councilman Garrett.
Yes.
Councilman Accomando.
Yes.
Council President Mays.
Yes.
Second ordinance, 1659-19 is a bond ordinance to authorize the undertaking of various sanitary sewer system improvements in by and for the Township of Saddlebrook and the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $400,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds for a second reading.
Have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Salucci.
Yes.
Councilwoman Dorman. Councilman Garrett.
Yes.
Councilman Accomando.
Yes.
Council President Mason.
Yes.
A bond ordinance to authorize the undertaking of various sanitary sewer system improvements in by and for the Township of Saddlebrook in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $400,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. Public hearing.
Have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Salucci.
Yes.
Councilwoman Dorman.
Yes.
Councilman Garrett.
Yes.
Councilman Accomando.
Yes.
Council President Mason.
Yes.
It's now open.
Motion, I'm sorry. The meeting is now open to the public regarding this ordinance.
Larry Tychek, 92 Claremont. This 400,000, does it include any work that's going to be put into the pump station on Mayhill or Midland that we discussed, that Mr. Galbo gave a report on
Yes.
Tuesday night?
It's system-wide.
It's just what?
It's system-wide. It's a system-wide.
System-wide.
Yes.
Are we going to address the problem on Mayhill Street, or are we going
Yes.
to keep them? Huh?
Yes.
Is it normal for a town to act on standby the way we act like this all the time? When are we going to fix that pump station? We've known that pump station needs money. That pump station needs $4 million so it can handle the sewers. When them 80 units from Midland Ave come on board, they're going to a Mayhill. And that's going to be the final straw. It's not normal for us to have pumps there, to have trailers there, and us to live like that. We're not a third world town, okay? I expect to flush my toilet, I expect it to go down, and I don't expect it to come back up or go in any place else. And it's been doing that for years. I mean, Mr. Galbo gave a report, we're blaming baby wipes. I went home and I said, you know what, it's possible that it could be baby wipes. But you know what, I'm surrounded by other towns. Lodi, Garfield, Elmwood Park. What do they do with their baby wipes? Are all of their citizens law-abiding and they don't flush baby wipes? What kind of pumps do they use that the baby wipes don't back up their sewer system? Did you ever think of calling them and asking them? Or sending our engineer
Do we
over
know
there?
that theirs don't back up?
What?
Do we know theirs don't back up?
I know they don't have equipment on standby like we do. And I bet you I can call the DPW head tomorrow over there and ask him, you guys got problems with baby wipes? See what he says. Just do it, just ask. Maybe he'll tell you yeah, and how they solve it. But they don't have any equipment like we do sitting on Mayhill. And that's at our cost. That's above and beyond our taxes. That's all extra money that we waste. Fix it once and fix it right. Like I say, I don't know where else is the $400,000 going to, Pete, for what? What are we buying? He's doing sanitary sewers, what kind of equipment you buying? You buying a garbage truck like you discussed on?
It's sewers, strictly
Huh?
sewers. Strictly sewers, Larry.
Your what?
It's strictly sewers. That's what the ordinance says.
So you can
It's
do
the
whatever
sewer
you want
system.
with that money.
For upgrades to the sewer system.
To the sewer system, it's strictly sewers, there's
Strictly.
nothing else.
Nothing else.
But like I say, we gotta fix these problems, and we gotta, before, like I say, 10 months, Andrew, we work on Home Depot, I'll give you 10 months, okay? We've been working on that Mayhill Street sewer system for 10 years. Let's fix it and let's get it right. Do your job.
Anyone else wishing to be heard on this ordinance?
Through the chair, if I can, I don't know if I can't. Charlie is here.
Yes.
Can you answer that about other towns and baby wipes? I mean,
I have asked other towns.
could you come up for a minute? I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, but you're here and that's your thing.
No, you're not.
Thank you, Charlie.
Larry, I have asked other towns. Other towns are having many, many problems with the baby wipes. It's not only baby wipes, though. There's a lot of other issues going on. So it's not only baby wipes. Baby wipes do this.
Right.
And I believe I showed you guys the pictures. Other towns, Lodi, Garfield, we talked to them all. They're all having problems.
But do they have equipment sitting there on standby like we do? And At least 10-year policy.
I don't have that answer for you.
You don't have an answer, but just right by their pump station, you'll see. They don't have trailers, they don't have pumps, we do.
That was a different issue.
Well, whatever it is, it's not right. And
You
that's-
asked what we're gonna do with the money, but you say we gotta fix it, so they're giving the money to fix it. Fix it. They're gonna fix it, right?
I don't want this to become a debate between
No,
you
it's
two
not-
guys.
it's
It's
not
just
a
Charlie, just you talk.
While you're up there, just for the residents, my understanding was that it was not so much recently with all the equipment that was outside, it was bad optics, it looked bad.
Yeah.
But that it was not a problem really with the pump station itself, but that there was something else going on that had nothing to do with the pump
It
station.
was down the line.
Okay, can you just explain what it ended up being?
We have what's called a force main.
Just talk to us, there's no need to talk to him
Okay.
directly, thank you.
We have what's called a force main that we pump into that goes through several other towns. We were trying to figure out if it was a big grease ball that was clogging our line or if it was an air pocket. And after all the work we did, we drained off quite a bit of air and we found out it was a huge air pocket and we relieved it. And we started pumping fine right after that, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Yes.
Charlie, also,
Yes, sir.
that we did take, maybe I should give this to the engineer, we did take some action as far as repairing, putting in valves, and your bleeding valves to bleed the air out of the system,
Yes.
right? Yes. And there is future plans to do more.
In one location that was behind ShopRite, we did put in a 12-inch by 12-inch access point, so we could access it in the future. I believe one of the air valves, pressure gauges was inoperable, and we replaced that. Correct.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Charlie.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, a motion to close them to that part.
Second.
All in favor?
Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that the ordinance entitled, "A Bond Ordinance to Authorize the Undertaking of Various Sanitary System, Sewer System Improvements in by and for the Township of Saddlebrook and the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $400,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds, to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds, is now passed on second and final reading, and that the township clerk be directed to advertise said ordinance or title thereof in the press, together with the notice of the date of passage of said ordinance according to law."
A motion?
Motion.
A second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Samuda.
Yes.
Councilwoman Dorminio.
Yes.
Councilman Garrick.
Yes.
Councilman Accomando.
Yes.
Council President Mazur.
Yes.
First reading ordinance number 1660-19. It's an ordinance adding a new section to the Township Code of the Township of Saddlebrook entitled Single-Use Plastic Bag Reduction for first reading.
A motion?
Motion.
A second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Samuda.
No, for the reasons I said before.
Councilwoman Dorminio.
Yes.
Councilman Garrick.
Yes.
Councilman Accomando.
Yes.
Council President Mazur.
Yes.
Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that an ordinance adding a new section to the Township Code of the Township of Saddlebrook entitled Single-Use Plastic Bag Reduction, heretofore passed on first reading, be further considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on the first day of August 2019 at 7:00 p.m. or soon thereafter, as the matter can be reached at the Municipal Building, 93 Market Street, and that at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said law, with the notice of introduction and passage on first reading, and of the time and place when and where said ordinance will be further considered for final passage.
A motion?
Motion.
Second? Roll call.
Councilman Samuda. Councilwoman Dorminio. Councilman Garrick.
Yes.
Councilman Accomando.
Yes.
Council President Mazur.
Yes.
First reading ordinance number 1661-19 is an ordinance amending Chapter 100, Garbage of the Township Code of the Township of Saddlebrook on first reading. Before we talk about amending, we haven't introduced it. So if you want to make any changes on the time, we could do it now.
Just through the chair, who's gonna supervise to make sure some of these garbage cans aren't in for 24 hours?
It's gonna be, enforcement, someone's gonna complain and whatever. I
Yeah.
mean, there are people, we do get complaints.
No, we get complaints, but unfortunately, there's nothing done about it, so, I mean.
Sorry?
I would assume,
Who's responsible for chapter 100?
Yeah, this is an amendment to the ordinance, so
Yeah, but-
it could be the police, it could be, because it's after hours. I think, once we have the ordinance in place, that's been a problem. We didn't have it, so when the police were called, there was nothing they could do on a weekend or evening.
through the chair, years ago, I remember Mr. Rodriguez was here, and we did discuss this. I thought it was passed, to be honest with
Me
you.
too.
Yeah.
But
don't have it.
apparently it was not. And like many things, the police probably have better things to do than to drive around seeing who's, garbage patrol. Most of this will be called in, and it's usually somebody who traditionally or regularly leaves their pails out or their garbage. They take their garbage out at 6 in the morning when it's not gonna get picked up till 2 the next afternoon, because they know it's gonna be, you kinda know when your garbage is getting picked up. So if it's repeat offenders, usually it's gonna be a disgruntled neighbor that calls, and they'll call the police, and hopefully it will be enforced. And
I
you get,
understand,
we
I
get,
just hope it's enforced, like.
yeah, I'm saying, you get hit with a $100 ticket.
Wayside.
At some point, you're gonna say, I better listen to the law. If not,
Actually,
you're gonna skirt it as long as you can.
I believe in Garfield, what happens is the building inspector actually puts red tags,
Yeah.
tags, and then they have to go to court, pay the fine.
I'm just saying, because we can't get people to follow the permit process.
I'm
I
sorry?
mean, we can't get people to follow the permit process, and we're
Yeah,
here worrying
I
about
know,
garbage cans.
I know, but, no.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
through the chair, I think it's something that really should have been passed a long time ago, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It-
Many
it just
towns
make-
have.
Yeah, I would say most.
Well, I agree, as long as it's enforced.
Yeah.
That's my only problem.
So, like Flo said, what'll happen is a neighbor probably will call up, and then it'll be up to either the police or the building department. But you know what, sometimes too, it might be, it may be an extenuating circumstance.
Go on
Somebody
vacation.
go on vacation, or they had somebody else taking it in, they forgot, so it'd have to be a case-by-case basis
Yeah.
to see. If they're habitual violators, then
Yeah.
they shouldn't be summoned.
Yeah.
You wanna
So
change the
what's
time?
the,
And Anthony, I guess, at this point, you haven't voted on it. I guess my proposed amendment would be to limit it to 12 hours.
I think in most cases, that would be good.
It's food for thought, so.
I agree.
What time? Want to change it?
Change it to 12 hours.
So we'll just
Okay
make,
with that?
everybody's okay with that?
That's fine.
Karen? Okay. We're okay with that.
Okay, so we're gonna introduce it with 12 hours.
It's not open for discussion.
An ordinance amending Chapter 100 garbage of the Township Code of the Township of Saddlebrook for first reading.
Have a motion.
Motion.
Second,
Second?
roll call.
Councilman Simaluka.
Yes.
Councilwoman Dorminio. Councilman Garrick.
Yes.
Councilman Accomando.
No.
Council President Mazur.
Yes.
Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that an ordinance amending Chapter 100 garbage of the Township Code of the Township of Saddlebrook heretofore passed on first reading be further considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on the first day of August 2019 at 7:00 p.m. or soon thereafter as the matter can be reached at the Municipal Building, 93 Market Street, and at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance according to law, with the notice of its introduction and passage of first reading, and of the time and place when where said ordinance will be further considered for final passage.
Have a motion.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
roll call.
Councilman Simaluka?
Okay. Just so we're clear, it's the end time would be 12 hours after it's been picked up. So if it's picked up at 4 in the afternoon, it would be 4 in the morning. You got to take it 12 hours after pickup, and I vote yes.
Councilwoman Dorminio?
Yes.
Councilman Garrick?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
No.
Council President Mazur?
Yes.
An ordinance of the Township of Saddlebrook, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to fix the salary and wages of employees, servants, or professional staff for 2019 white collar for first reading.
Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Maluka?
I think I have to abstain because one of the people specifically mentioned is a current client of mine, so I will abstain from that.
Okay, you might want to recuse yourself.
If there's discussion, it's just hard for me to get up.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Councilwoman Dorminio?
Yes.
Councilman Garrett?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Mazer?
Yes.
Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that an ordinance of the Township of Saddlebrook, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to fix the salary and wages of employees, servants, or professional staff for 2019. White collar heretofore passed on first reading. Be further considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on the first day of August 2019 at 7:00 p.m. or sooner after as the matter can be reached at the Municipal Building, 93 Market Street. And at such time and place, all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance according to law, with the notice of its introduction and passage on first reading, and of the time and place when where said ordinance will be further considered for final passage.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Maluka?
Abstain.
Councilwoman Dorminio?
Yes.
Councilman Garrett?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Mazer?
Yes.
Ordinance 1663-19 is an ordinance amending Chapter 156 Recycling of the Township Code of the Township of Saddlebrook for first reading.
We have a motion?
Before the motion first, Madam Chairwoman, I am requesting the same
Same change.
amendment,
Same
same
change.
change to 12 hours.
Yes.
I just think it's a more reasonable timeframe.
Yep.
With that amendment, I will
That's fine.
vote yes for the first reading.
You making a motion, Ms.
Make a
Wilson?
motion, I'm sorry.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Maluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dorminio?
Yes.
Councilman Garrett?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
No.
Council President Mazer?
Yes.
Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that an ordinance amending Chapter 156 Recycling of the Township Code of the Township of Saddlebrook heretofore passed on first reading be further considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on the first day of August 2019 at 7:00 p.m. or sooner after as the matter can be reached at the Municipal Building, 93 Market Street. And at such time and place, all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance according to law, with the notice of its introduction and passage on first reading, and of the time and place when where said ordinance will be further considered for final passage.
Motion?
Motion?
Second.
Second. Roll call.
Councilman Maluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dorminio? Councilman Garrett?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
No.
Council President Mazer?
Yes.
First reading, ordinance 1664-19. It's a bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new, additional replacement equipment and machinery and new communication and signal systems equipment in by and for the Township of Saddlebrook and the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $710,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds for first reading. This is for police and DPW.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Maluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dorminio?
Yes.
Councilman Garrett?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Mazer?
Yes.
Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that a bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new additional and replacement equipment and machinery and for new communication and signal systems equipment in by and for the Township of Saddlebrook in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $710,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds heretofore passed on first reading, be further considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on the first day of August 2019 at 7:00 p.m. or sooner after as the matter can be reached at the Municipal Building, 93 Market Street, and that at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance according to law, with the notice of its introduction and passage on first reading, and of the time and place when and where said ordinance will be further considered for final passage.
Do you have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Second, roll call.
Councilman Simuluk?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dorminio?
Yes.
Councilman Garrett?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Mays?
Yes,
And that's it.
that's it.
All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine and non-controversial by the Township Council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member or members so request it, in which case the item or items will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. The one motion signifies adoption of all resolutions, receive and file letters, correspondence, reports, and approval of minutes and applications. The minutes are not part of the consent agenda, and resolutions 8 and 9 are not part of the consent agenda.
Everything else?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second, roll call.
Councilman Simuluk?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dorminio?
Yes.
Councilman Garrick?
Yes, abstain from June 27th meeting.
We're
I
there.
was-
They're not good.
Okay, I'm doing that. Sorry, all right.
This is
Yes.
everything.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Mays?
Yes,
We have the minutes of the June 6, 2019 public meeting.
have a motion? Second,
Second.
roll call.
Councilman Simuluk?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dorminio?
Yes.
Councilman Garrick?
Yes, abstaining on June 27th.
Councilman Accomando?
I have to abstain on all three.
And Council President Mays?
Yes,
Okay. We have resolution number 8 is payment of bills, Stone Brook Garden. Council President Mesa will recuse herself and leave the dais at this time. Is there a motion?
Motion. Oh,
Councilman Simuluk?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dorminio?
Yes.
Councilman Garrick?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
yes.
Next, we have approved payment of bills, Mazzone Plumbing and Heating, and Councilwoman Dorminio will recuse herself and leave the dais.
Motion to approve?
Second?
roll call.
Councilman Simuluk?
Yes.
Councilman Garrick?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Mays?
Yes. That's it. Okay. Old business? Anybody? Mayor, anything?
We're gonna do old business and new
Old business, new business,
Okay.
Beth, any business, yeah.
I just want to say a couple of things. I'm going to say it nicely. There's too much talking out here. I'm not kidding you. I can't concentrate. I don't know when we watch the video, I'm sure some of you are going to watch the video, but I can hear certain individuals. I don't want to point them out, but I can't concentrate, honestly. So, please, I'm asking you, in the future, can you just keep it down? Because it's distracting. It really is. So, I just got a couple of things. Larry, I'm the type of person, I think everybody up here has to, you gotta deal in facts. I'm a former police officer, okay? Facts. I learned that first day in police academy. Facts before acts. In other words, you gotta establish what's going on first, before you make up your mind. And you make a decision, okay? You're a smart guy. You know what? You're a streetwise guy, no doubt about it, okay? We know each other a long time. But you say things, some of the things you say, honestly, have no basis at all in any kind of fact. I'll give you an example, okay? You talked about Veterans Field and how, in your mind, because a gentleman came here, the owner of a building that's on Kenny Place, claims, okay, that because we built Veterans Field, that he gets flooded now. Now, I know for a fact, and I have the DPW superintendent here who can verify, that they've been having trouble back there with their drainage for years. and have done nothing about it. And I don't know if the gentleman that came up here, if he purchased that building a few years ago, but there's been problems back there forever. And so, when you say that, you're basing it on that gentleman, who's a very nice man, came up, he said his piece, but how do you know that's true? You don't. You're assuming that that's true.
Wait a minute, okay, let's just get one thing clear. This is not open to the public, the mayor is speaking. It's not a debate back and forth. Just like you tell me, shh, shh. Thank you.
And the same thing, and I'm trying to bait you, I'm not trying to bait you, Larry, I'm just some observations. You mentioned about the baby wipes, you know, and saying, well, no other town has problems like we do. Like, where are you getting that information from? I don't see it. I know,
Again.
well, you don't see it, but you go drive through every town, I know you spend a lot of time driving through this town, right? And that's, you know, your prerogative, that's fine, right? But, I mean, you know, I know, I'm not gonna name them, because I don't wanna criticize other towns, but, you know, I know 3 right off the bat that have had similar problems. You know, where, with their, not only the pump station, but this particular time, it wasn't the pump station that failed. It was a problem with the force main, and that's what we deal with. That's what we deal with. We gotta go to Passaic Valley, and we found out too, recently, with this last problem, we can't even go, if we wanted to, go to Bergen County. Because that's been talked about for years. Let's get out of Passaic Valley and go to Bergen County Utilities Authority. We can't do it. They won't allow us. They don't have the capacity to take us. So that's off the table. So you know what? We're dealing the best we can with this. So I just think that, you know, you get up there and, you know, look, people listen to you, Larry. They do. I know they do, because listen, I'm around town. I agree with that, but I'm around town as much as you are.
Larry, please.
And the people, you know, you make sense sometimes, but you know what, it bothers me when you state things like they're facts, and they're not. So, that's the first thing. And the second thing I just wanted to say was, look, this municipal complex, it's a difficult decision. You know what, it is, you know, everybody that's against it thinks that everybody up here is just like, we're just gonna spend your money, without thinking about it. Believe me, we've thought about it. We've thought about it a lot. And, you know, Pete had said when we first started this, when he did his presentation, for years, we've had opportunities. And you know what? We didn't take them. You know why we didn't take them? We didn't take them because the people up here were afraid. We're not afraid of that, what you're saying, to take that to a referendum. Not afraid of that. But people were afraid in the past, look, if I spend this money, you know what, the people get mad because there's a tax increase and they won't vote us. They won't vote us in. I was talking to Fairlawn. If you ever go to Fairlawn's Recreation Center, it's the best thing I've ever seen. Okay, you guaranteed. You know how much heat they took? And from what I understand, there were politicians that got voted out for that vote to build that recreation center because taxes went up. And the people in that town, they got angry because the taxes went up for whatever reason. So they said, you know what? But now, 20 years, it's gotta be 20 years, or close to that. 15, 20 years it's been built. It's the people rave about that rec center. It's the best thing that ever happened to Fairlawn. Best thing. So you know what? And you know, it's a lot of money. Sure, it's a lot of money. But you know what? What are we getting for it? That's what we gotta look at. Is it gonna be something that's valuable? And it's gonna be valued by the people in this town in the future? I really believe it will. That's my opinion. You're entitled, everybody's entitled to their opinion. You know, but that's what it is. And as far as the referendum goes, you know what? That's your opinion too. You know what? I said it before, I think it will pass. But we don't have to go that route. We don't have to do it. We don't have to do it. So why add another step? That's the way I look at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other comments? No? No? You okay?
Under old business and new
Business,
business.
new business, whatever.
Again, I did miss the work session, and things that should be talked about then. I am going to ask once again that I be provided with the video about the pools.
Sent you the link.
Did you really?
Yes.
My fault.
I'll send it again.
I did not see that, so I will have.
I'll send it again.
Okay, I will have more information, and, what was it? Oh, I think we have to once again really have a dialogue on the speed tables. I say this over and over and over again. So I think we do have to have a dialogue on speed tables and the places that we know are problems. Again, everyone thinks that their block is the Indianapolis Raceway, but we kind of get elected to know the town, and we kind of know where the real problems are, in speaking to, obviously, our law enforcement personnel. And that's old and new. I got a comment at the end.
Through the chair,
Yes.
You know, Mr. Polino's here, and he's the planning board attorney. Maybe, could you shed a little bit of light on the whole process with the pool ordinance and what the planning board did as far as, remember the pools, right?
That was the idea of calculating the impervious
Lot
coverage.
coverage and
Right.
impervious.
Yeah, and there are two different theories, of course. One that says, well, listen, it's made out of concrete and it's impervious. And the other says, in an in-ground pool, the water level is set, 6-8 inches below the coping at the top. So it's actually a receptacle for water. But as some people pointed out, I think the mayor pointed out, it's underground, so it impacts the underground flow of water and drainage generally. So the planning board recommendation, I don't know what the council did with that, but did make a recommendation that the pool surface area be counted, I think we said 75%, Mayor, if that's,
It was
50%?
I think 50.
50%, as a reasonable compromise for that kind of thing. And, the surrounding area, any walkway at all, assuming it was concrete, would be counted 100% as impervious coverage. Was that what you were getting at, Mayor?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and there was a lot of discussion on that, and with engineers and board members, and I think overall, the planning board and Tony Ambrosio, your construction official and zoning officer, thought that was a good compromise. It follows along, I think you have a similar percentage for pavers. I think pavers are counted at 75%, that may be where I got that number. So it recognizes the fact that you do take some water, and yet at the same time, you're impacting the flow of the water underground. And I think probably a good compromise. That was our report back, I think, to
Yes.
the council.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. No business, you're okay? Okay. Motion to open to the public?
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
The meeting is now open to the public. Anyone wishing to be heard? Agenda items.
Are we going to hear from the engineer, like to see his reports? We're not going to do this thing tonight for time.
The engineer gave his report
On Tuesday, yeah. Meeting's now open to the public. You could come, well,
And we're already answered on Tuesday, that's like I say. You want me here. And that's your plan and your firm. You come one day, the other guy comes the other day. Let me ask you something. On the paving, did you ever get the core samples back?
I believe some have come back.
Some. Come on, give me a break, all right? 8 months. 8 months for core samples, Karen? This is what you people have to stay on top of, a firm like this. 8 months to wait for a core sample? Them core samples should be taken the same day or the next day that the paving is done. And where are they? 8 months later? Give me a break. What's the delay now? Tell me what the delay is.
I don't have the answer, I'll write.
8 months, you're gonna get me an answer? You better have a good answer. And that's how the council should talk to you. Because your firm is incompetent. 8 months, Karen, you've been asking them for how long? You gotta stay on people, you gotta stay on their back. Because if you don't, they shrug you off. And that's what he's doing. That paving is a disgrace out there. And nothing's been done. I put red marks in front of my house When are you coming to fix it? It's 8 months now, Claremont Ave, 92. You said you already seen the red marks. I took spray paint. You want me to use orange now? The handicap ramps. When is this guy gonna done? Your other engineer said they rejected a load of topsoil on Tuesday. What's the difference? Topsoil is black. They brought brown dirt to Hayes Drive, and all it did was create a dust bowl. This company can't get it right. They're pulling your chain, and they're pulling the chain of the towns, and we're gonna wind up paying them. And they shouldn't get paid. That paving is a disgrace. You have any signed contracts for this year's paving project? No. What are we waiting for? We're at the same boat we were in last year. We vote in January on the streets, or get the streets, January, February. It's now going into August, because July is shot, and you don't have a signed contract.
We're gonna wait till next year, Larry. We're not gonna do the
Well,
same
then
thing.
don't call it a 2019 paving project. You
That's
gotta
when
give-
it was
say,
approved,
look,
Larry.
we're
Come
dealing
on.
with an
That's-
engineering
that's-
firm that takes 2 years to get the paving done. I mean, seriously, think about it. The roads were supposed to be done in 19. Now, what are they doing with all the stencil marks they got out on the streets now? How can they actually put crosswalks and stop signs down when the paving's not fixed?
The paving will be fixed.
When though? But don't you put your socks on first and then your shoes?
Larry, we're dealing,
So you don't stencil the street and then come back and fix the paving.
first off, Larry, I don't stencil this.
Well, the people, you don't even know they're working in the town. Yeah, it is true, because your associate didn't even know. Oh, I didn't even know they were in town today. Just look, get the reports on in a timely manner, get the core samples. Obviously, there's a problem with the core samples. And I keep asking this question.
Larry,
Is
time's up.
there a time limit that the municipality had to make complaints about the shoddy workmanship? And I think
Your time is up,
we
Larry.
didn't read the contract,
Thank you.
and we're beyond that time. Or you think maybe next month you can have the core samples?
Anyone else wishing to be
go
heard?
take new ones.
Larry, anyone else wishing to be heard regarding the agenda items?
8 months.
No, I don't see anyone. Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor? Any other comments?
Through Chair.
Yes.
I'd just like to thank Bob Hickswood, Charlie Galvo. We had that emergency.
Yeah.
It wasn't our pump stations. Rick was there, the mayor, we were all there. Problem was in the line, the force main. We did every precaution that our licensed operator requested, the DEP. I'd rather have the trucks there on standby than have a catastrophe. And I want to thank you guys and everybody from DPW, because you were there the whole weekend, from start to finish. I know the mayor sent the letter from the mayor and council. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Just comments?
Just have one thing, and it's really not to do with anything on the agenda, but there's certain things,
Can you keep them down, please?
I'll defer to you. You finished with your conversation? I know, you're talking to somebody else. Okay, that's good. I love you too. Certain things that we take for granted, like every month when we come to this meeting, we stand up and we pledge allegiance to the flag. And it was kind of disturbing and shocking when I see that a council in someplace in suburban Minnesota actually passed an ordinance 5-0 to ban the Pledge of Allegiance from being said before their council meetings, because the pledge and the flag might offend some people, which I think, living in the United States of America, is one of the most sick things that I've ever heard. And again, we take it for granted. We just stand up and pledge allegiance to our flag. And I just don't understand how any community, any set of people who are elected can actually sit there and tell their people that they don't want to pledge allegiance because some snowflake out there is getting upset by it. So I don't even have to be proud. It just should be human nature as an American to pledge allegiance to your flag, love your country, And in addition, I know years ago, I think when Mr. Arminio was the mayor, we began to put "In God We Trust" on all of our township letterhead. I mean, we are a country, a God-fearing country, a country of laws. I just don't get sometimes where the parts of this country are headed. I just had, just really, some things tick people off, like the thickness of pavement, that kind of stuff bothers me. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Nothing else? Okay. Before I close, I'd like to extend my prayers and sympathy to the LaParry's family. He's an awesome gentleman with such dedication to our township. Had an awesome smile as well, and he certainly will be missed.
Excuse me? We have two firemen here.
Yes.
And as you said, Lou, I went to the funeral today, and you guys did a wonderful send-off. It was really, really well-deserved, but very well done, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you. A motion close?
Motion closed.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone.